Oh, welcome back to class. All right, so people ask me questions about the other project, the Simple Direct Media Layer projects, or the action RPG things, and other stuff that I was working on for the game, the game, whatever the game was. They wanted to see what I had, so I started working on the artwork. I got some Dragon Ball Z guys that tried to fix some things. I got some Cell Juniors. I actually drew some of these myself. I had some free time, at least from reference models I saw others because I took Garlic Junior and turned him into Broly because I actually tried to give him some. I wanted to give him some animations because it was an action, a role playing style game like Final Fantasy. I saw some art online that people were working on, so I tried to play around with it. And it takes so long to draw all these graphics and stuff. Um, as you could, if you can imagine. But anyway, I had a Frieza, and we'll talk about it for this course. How to do animation states. Uh, I added the animation state for steel anime. It didn't have a steel animation until I made one. And then in walking, I got a lot of other people. I was trying to make a Majin Buu, but I took Krillin, and then I was trying to make them into but it takes many hours to make graphics and talk about programming at the same time, and people get mad about that. But anyway, I tried to find some art offline, but it's just as you can see, I got Frieza. Another form of Frieza. I have one of those Ginyu Force guys. Frieza second form. See, Frieza final form. Frieza again, 100% golden Frieza. Android 17. Android 17 again. Android 17 another outfit. King Cove, Piccolo. I could probably play with Piccolo and give him the cape later. We won't worry about that right now because it takes too long to do this. One of those Cybermen, I got Mr. Satan. I got Turl. We have Nappa, and I have Android 16. Raccoon, as you see how they went from Android 16 to Raccoon. Let's see what we got else we have here. We have whoever the guy Vegeta killed. Jace. We got Berta. There's some artifacts there. I gotta fix this. We got Super Saiyan 1 Goku. Just Gohan, I think. Gohan 2, Yamcha, Gohan, the Cell Side, Gohan, Cooler's Form 1, Tien, Ginyu, Vegeta. I went online to try to find some guys, and I was I'm not sure if I don't know what I did, but we're going to make our own people for that. I don't want to mess around with it. Takes too much time. I tried to find some examples online that would be useful to you. And play around with it. I tried to make a start screen about button presses. I gave it a different name before. I started working on a tile map. This stuff takes many hours to work on for about going inside houses. But I'm probably gonna do something a little different because this is just it's too ugly to show you what's going on. This is one of the reasons why I started working on the Dragon Ball, the other game, the X-Men game because it's hard to get the sprites and stuff together in a way that would be useful. I started working on the battle system, the RPG battle system, and I tried to make something for the credits and for the scrolling text part of the with blending images on the screen and stuff. But we'll go around to that when we get around to playing around with that using the Simple Direct Media Layer. I tried to in this C++. Another thing you can do in C++ is load in other files like the CSV files. And so I'm using a different operating system. A lot of people aren't using the same operating system for spreadsheets. I'm not sure if this is going to load today. But anyway, I tried to go through, since we're making I don't know what happened to it, which happens a lot of times too. I tried to go through it and, oh yeah, here we go. If I can zoom in on here. Crap, man. Control plus. No, that ain't that. It doesn't make it zoom in. I don't use this all the time. Anyway, I tried to go across the x-axis, and I went through and I got they're probably in the wrong spot, and I probably misspelled their names. It's Goku, Vegeta, Piccolo, and I tried to go across the top and put the character's names in, but then down the bottom, I tried to go through and find, which takes a really long time to go about as a Boolean, true or false, and go through all the Dragon Balls, the attacks like that they have, things that are true for a player to have. Like if you're making some kind of complicated, like if this was a spreadsheet, this is not just a game design course. This is a course for using for real world, real life stuff. If you had a vector or some kind of large piece of data, you need to be able to tell between the a spreadsheet, like if two things correspond together. There's an intersection between Goku and the Kamehameha, which is true. I could put true here. Oh crap! But anyway, true, which is true here. Goku knows the Kamehameha wave. I could go through here, and Vegeta doesn't know the Kamehameha wave. Tien knows it, and if you watch them, people, I can go through here, and nobody knows the Wolf Fang Fist but Yamcha, and then I could go through, and you want to be able to read in a large data set. If you use a machine learning, or if you're engineering data science and things, you need to be able to look at one vector where X and then one vector Y where they intersect. This is a process we call dynamic programming. I spell check this here. Did it spell check it? I don't know if it's spell checked it. I don't think Vegeta spelled right. Krillin's not spelled right. But anyway, we won't go through all these things today, but let me save that. But anyway, as we get around to coding up things, hopefully the next few days I can get some of this data looking a little bit more specific toward the search criteria. So a lot of times when you have a game, I work on these things independently. I'm not sure if this will even compile. But you'll have some kind of file here that's external to the game itself. This here is a RPG battle system that I'm not sure if it works or compiles or not. Let's see, does it run? Let's just compile it. No, it didn't work. Maybe I just loaded in a different compile. But anyway, I'll swap compiles when we get back around to doing the actual coding. But some of these things that I can alleviate and make it look a little better. This is an RPG battle system. We'll fix it and make it work a little better. But you'll have, a lot of times, you'll have a player, and the player will have features, attributes. This can also be a class, or the health points, there's life, and other attributes are associated to a different object. Like if this was, you may see in a classic model of object-oriented programming, they use the truck and car analogy. Let me get out the paint. Everybody talks about the paint. Let's pop out paint. And let's talk about some object-oriented programming class materials. Yeah, let's go about that. All right, so I'm gonna draw a box here, and we're gonna call this, resize the box, and we'll call this box the player. All right, player, and let's rechange this. Was part of the player class. Usually the attributes of the player class, all his attributes will go under here. But also that player class, if he has functionality, that player functionality can be inherited by other class. Like since it moves and does things, the player, it can be a vehicle, right? The player can be a vehicle, right? And the player can also be an enemy, right? He can also be an enemy. Let's just call it something similar here. Let's call it a bad guy. He can also be a bad guy, or he can even be a boss. That same functionality. They have the same. If they share similar properties, that they can move. I can inherit from. I won't have a player class. A lot of times, the player of the vehicles is what a lot of times what they'll do is they'll have. Just move it up a little bit better for you to understand what's going on. They'll have like what we call an entity, some kind of component, entity component systems. We abbreviate that. They'll have some kind of entity component system where you pass off the functionality to different states of this. But I'm not really sure what we're doing right now, but they'll have an entity. Let's move this down. They'll have some type of entity that has all these properties, and then they'll have a state that checks whether those entities properties are admissible. They'll have some kind of component system, and they'll have from that component system, they'll inherit, some of the features of that. The class will just call those other things. They'll have similar things. They'll all update. They'll all draw. They'll all moving in X and Y. But they won't have all this. They won't have access to the player controls in the game library. So the player, he can move in X and Y. Let's talk about some of the things that are true. He can move in X and Y. All right, and that's true for all these games, right? They all can move. They'll all update to the renderer or something. That's usually where it goes, to the renderer or something, the back buffer. They'll update as they move. They'll pass information update, and they'll have like some kind of state. They'll have the state where they check if they're alive, and that's usually a Boolean value. Just be using Notepad for this. I mean, hey, it's regular class. There's no book here. So anyway, you'll check to see this. They'll have some functionality, but what will be different a lot of times is their graphics. So their whatever they render it, their graphics are be some kind of array index a lot of times. And there'll be some kind of array index information there that tells us what the graphics are. So they'll have all the same features, and the only thing really just different between them is where they pull the graphics from, or library information like player health or something. It's probably a retrieval value. These things, I'll put some plus signs beside them, or some other colored object there that they come from something different. Things that are different, maybe the graphics are different, the health of the players are different, but other things that are, once you figure out which parts are part of the entity class, like the move will be part of whatever the class was, or the other parts, they'll save that, and then they'll try to inherit the other features from some other class. So they're trying to reduce the number of draws and stuff, and so you don't want to do too many calls to the. Nobody wants to type the same thing twice. The image icon, and then if they have some kind of dialogue or something, that might be a little different. Or the skills, as we talked a bit about Dragon Ball Z, the skills for the players will be a little bit different than the actual coding thing. Since this is not everyone who uses C++ should probably know what a class looks like. The difference between a class, a structure is public, and the class you can do private things. So if I made a class here, this is just an example. I found it online. If you had a class, you use the reserved word class, and you give it a name, or Goku or something. That's probably not what I should write here. Goku, and then you can do things. You can have data members. You can have a public a private part of the class, and you can have a protected. Okay, you can have a public part of. You can define a lot of things. This is not Python, so we'll put the curly brackets around it. I can't share this code on social medias because you can't have curly braces on the side of the thing. But anyway, you'll have some parts of the program, and these are you have functions. You have for your program. You'll have some parts of the program that are public, and that a lot of times is the if you're making like a singleton class, a lot of times it'll be protected here. Your singletons will go here. Your partner would make the singleton. I spelled that right, but anyway, we're gonna go into that today. But you'll have your parts of it, like your virtual functions and things that will go into the different parts of the class. You'd have some parts that are public that people want you to see because they were about this idea of data hiding. There's some other better memory management strategies out there to make your character. If you had a function here, like a lot of times, what would be public would be like these information regarding just the player. Like I can move all these variables up here to the public part of the class. The health, the player's health, and I could call it Goku's health, but you probably wouldn't want to do it that way because you have other players. I mean, you can call this Z fighters. That's probably the better way to go about doing that. There's Z fighters, or if this was another type of game, the way to think about that, these are X-Men. You know what I mean? Other parts of the game, they'd have to have all. You want to put the public and the private materials in their own area, in their own associated areas. When you make a function prototype, when you go about just define and draw functions, and you're using the simple direct media for this course, which we'll go through really fast when we get around to doing that. But you'll want to kind of keep everything encapsulated. That protects you from data hiding. If you read online, we'll go to the web. Talk about approved programming languages. A lot of people by the government now. I think they are approving the idea, or at least by the White House, they're saying that Java, Go, and Rust, and there's other newer languages out there that are supposed to be admissible. I'm not sure if it's a White House release press about which languages people still use for C++, and if you can still use C++, like if you were trying to get a job at North Grumman and NASA and a few other places, that a lot of these tools still rely on these languages, and it's not a bad idea to learn other object or programming strategies when you make games and whatever else you try to do in your daytime. All right. We're gonna have to fix this and get something working. Hopefully by the next video, we'll talk about something working and running. All right. So I'm gonna comment this. So this is for class sake. This can have private attributes. Your class can have private attributes. If you made a structure is public, as you know, people don't code every day. At least not use this. There's other things like enumerations. You may see as enums. There's other websites online to learn. You can iterate over an object. You may have heard about other data. We're going to use some other data structures in this course. Well, not because we have to, but just because it'll be a good idea for you to use more than just the array to store information and access it in real time. Like another problem here, like for this, as we go through here, hopefully I can get this up and running. And I'm not sure what I did with the source for this. I had a battle system, RPG battle system, it was just text font. That was Dragon Ball Z related. Save this. Save it. Hopefully it'll be here tomorrow. But anyway, it had all the functionality of. I'm not that organized when it comes to these things. But anyway, it had all the functionality for the battle system. Let's see, do I have the picture for the battle system? I don't know what I did with things. I'm on the spot right now. I'm not sure what I did with Dragon Ball Z's battle pictures. Is it on this program? I don't know what I did with it. I'll show you next time. But anyway, I'll catch you in the next video when I get things together.